Believe it or not, it's been almost 2 years since we heard this. With the 96th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Brodric Martin, DT, Western Kentucky. I remember when we traded up to get him. In the same year, we took Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell. We wind up taking Brian Branch and Sam Laporta in the first 2 rounds. And with our 3rd round pick, we drafted Brodric Martin. And I have been relentless on this pick. When we first picked it, I had an open mind. I trusted the process. And turns out that process, in this particular case, has failed miserably. And I'm here to tell you that Brodric Martin will not become a better player, that he is going to, I'm going to call it quits, that he is not going to be a Detroit Lion for too much longer. Now, he might be on the team year 3, but I would be surprised if he's on year 4. I'm even going to say that he could be out the door year 3. And we traded up to get this guy. We gave up a 4th, I believe it was, and 2 5ths to trade up to get Brodric Martin. Now, let me be very clear. This is not about Brodric the player. This is about Brodric the pick. This is about Brad Holmes. And I told you guys this offseason, I'm going to be relentless. I'm going to blame one person for where we are. The good and the bad. I'm going to give him his praise, and I'm going to criticize him relentlessly. He gets all the praise from everyone else. He can get a little bit of criticism from me. It's funny how everybody else on YouTube is catching up to me. I'm watching all these shows. I'm seeing all these thumbnails of people. Is it fair? Is it time? Is it finally time for us to start criticizing Brad Holmes? Because you have to address the good with the bad. Brodric Martin, put in the comment section, how many snaps do you think Brodric has played in 2 years? Now, let me remind you where he was taken at. He was taken in the top 100 in the NFL draft. The top 100 in the NFL draft. He was taken in the 3rd round. So if you're taken in the 3rd round, shouldn't you be a somewhat impact player? If somebody takes you, trades up to get you. The Lions had a draft pick at 122. They decided to come up 26 spots to get this guy, and they gave up 3 pieces to do it. What is my issue? Why am I so antagonistic about Brodric Martin? Why does it irritate me? Because in a year that it was obvious that we needed a pass rush, a defensive line, we didn't do anything in free agency. Go check the tape. We didn't make any moves. We re-signed, we kept Romeo, Julian, Charles Harris. We did not do anything to properly address the defensive line. We traded up 26 picks, gave up 3 picks, or yeah, you can say 2 really, because we came up. 1 was ours. We came up to get a guy who has played 52 snaps. Why am I so livid, Derek? What is your problem? Well, I was wondering what could have been. What could have been? Who did we miss out on? We thought so much of this guy. Who did we miss out on? Josh Sweat was a 4th round pick. Now he's about to get a big payday. You know who else was a 4th round pick? Your favorite dude, Max Crosby, 4th round pick. Put this in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. Brodric Martin, who has played a whopping 52 snaps in 2 years, was picked before Max Crosby and Josh Sweat. Put that in perspective. Maybe now you'll finally get it. He was taken before Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he has done 52 snaps. Now, again, I was gave this guy a chance. Another reason I was upset is because we traded up. We got 1 body when we could have got 3. We could have taken 3 bodies. Maybe 2 of those guys pan out. Maybe all 3 of them pan out. We traded 3 bodies for 1. And that 1 has played 52 snaps. I'm going to make sure that you remember 52. If you played a lottery, I'm going to make you play 52 by the time you stop watching this video. I wouldn't say go play the lottery. I'm not into gambling, so I'm not saying go gamble. I'm saying if you do, and I don't have nothing to do with that, you're going to play 52. That's all I'm saying. Because I'm going to make sure that you remember you're going to play 96 and 52. Because he was traded up. We traded up to get him at 96 overall. So keep that in mind. He was taken before St. Brown. He was taken before Josh Sweat. He was taken before Max Crosby. And I wanted to show you guys something. This is coming from a Twitter account. And shout out to my guy on Twitter, Dale Johnson, man, I appreciate you. He shared this with me today. Now, I remember this guy. I remember when, long time ago, 5 years ago, I think this guy was making his start. He goes by Math Bomb on Twitter, and he does something very similar to PFF. What you are looking at is the Brodric Martin, his RAS scores. His RAS scores. The only thing you can't see at the very bottom of this page is it says athletic testing on a scale of 0 to 10. So these numbers are from 0 to 10. His overall RAS score was 2.14. Relative athletic score is what RAS means. Of course, red means bad, green means good. In his size, he was elite. And I'm assuming this is why the Detroit Lions drafted him. His bench press, poor. Composite explosion grade, very poor. Composite speed grade, poor. Composite agility grade, very poor. Now, I'm not saying that this formula is the be all end all. I did not see this, bruh. Look at the bomb with the thumbs down. I didn't even peep that. That's crazy, and that is genius. I absolutely love it. Brad saw a guy with the worst scores pretty much possible. Now, it gets better. Check this out. We're going to look at this. Read this. Brodric Martin was drafted in the 3rd round, pick 96 of the 2023 draft class. He scored a 2.14 RAS out of a possible 10. This is the part that's going to blow your absolute mind. He ranked 1,619 defensive tackles from 1987 to 2023. 1987 to 2023. So let's do the math. So out of 1,619 defensive tackles, Brodric Martin landed in the bottom, that is very close to the bottom 4th. He was definitely in the bottom 3rd. It might be off by 50 to 75. So let's just go in thirds. He was ranked on a RAS score, okay, in the bottom 3rd. In how many years? 97, 2007, 2017. In 36 years, Brodric Martin ranked in the bottom 3rd of defensive tackles. The bottom 3rd. And we traded up to get this guy. I'm going to go ahead and put it out. Watch some tape on Brodric. He's not going to be better. Yeah, we had to get a new defensive line coach. He's not going to get any better. You don't miraculously get better in 3 years, especially if you don't play. Now, let me say something. I want to say something because I might seem harsh. And I guess I can be, but I feel like that's part of the job, right? Brodric Martin cannot get better if he doesn't play. Real game reps. He has 52 snaps out of 2 seasons. 52. Now let's say there's 70 snaps in an offensive game, in an NFL game. 70 snaps. So every 10 games, that's 700 snaps if he played every snap every game. 700 snaps. So let's just say you're talking about maybe 1,300 snaps, 1,250, 1,200 around there. If you played every snap, every game, you're probably going to wind up maybe playing somewhere between 11 and 1,250 if you played every snap, every game. This guy has only played 52 snaps and that's in 1 season. So 52 snaps over 2 seasons, when if you played every game in a season, you're probably going to play every game, every snap. You're probably going to play 1250. But nobody does that. Nobody plays all. So let's just say Brodric Martin played. Let's be generous. Let's say he played 500 snaps in a season. 500 snaps in a season. Right now, he's played 10%. If we have 2 seasons, he played 500 snaps a season. That's 1,000. And that means that he's played 5% of the snaps that he could have played. He's not going to get better. So how can he get better in year 3 with just practice? NFL is different. Practice is one thing. Everybody needs it. But nothing is like the real game reps. And we saw him out there for his limited. He's played 28 snaps. It was 28. What did he play? Total snaps. He played 28 last year and 24 this year. Brodric Martin is not going to change. He's not going to get better. I would be surprised if he's on the team in 20. As a matter of fact, I'm calling it right now. Brodric Martin will not be a Detroit Lion in 2026. He might not make the team this year. He might not make the team this year. He should have never been drafted. He was a huge miss for Brad Holmes. What is my issue is that when you have a weakness like our defensive line and you give up 3 picks and you pass on potential to draft a project, that is a problem for me, especially at the fact that we have a massive position of need for the defensive line. One thing has been clear. The defensive line has gotten marginally better, but not by a lot. You draft, Levi already had a hurt back when you drafted him. Josh Pasco had been dealing with his situation when you drafted him. Aleem McNeil was somebody who exceeded expectations, in my opinion. Josh and Levi did not live up to them. Aleem McNeil exceeded them. Aiden Hutchinson is exactly what he's supposed to be. As a matter of fact, this guy, he was on pace to multiple other second-round picks. Chase Young did not even meet expectations if you look at his career totality. And they were drafted the same position. I'm going to put Hutch up there with Bosa before I put him with Chase Young. Brodric Martin was a miss. Brad Holmes made a mistake by drafting what could have been for what he thought was. And I cannot let this slide. When a Max Crosby was drafted in the 4th round, when a Josh Sweat was drafted in the 4th round, when you drafted St. Brown in the 4th round, and Brodric Martin was taken before all 3 of those gentlemen, and the list could go on and on. Put this in perspective. Where was Brian Branch taken? Okay? Brian Branch should have never made it to the 2nd round. Never. Brodric Martin was in the 3rd. They're not even on the same plane of existence. And that, my viewers, is why Brad Holmes, I will hold him 120% accountable. Because 15-2, fantastic. It does not matter when you get bounced out the 1st round. If you draft a person, this is the last thing I'll say. The Lions, their 4th round pick was sitting at 122. You mean to tell me, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I'm going hard. I'm going hard. Let me paint the picture for you. You're sitting at 122, and you saw something in Brodric Martin that told you to give up 3 picks to come up 26 spots, and then that guy plays 52 snaps in 2 years. Why would you think, especially, let's pull the math bomb scores back up. Why would you think that this guy right here was worth coming up 26 spots? Do you think that this guy was not going to be sitting there in 26 spots? You honestly thought that he was going to be gone in 26 spots? You could have kept those 5th round picks and maybe got somebody there? You came up 26 spots, gave up 2 additional picks, for a guy with a RAS score of 2.14, ranks in the bottom third of defensive tackles taken in the past 36 years. And he plays 52 snaps. I'm going to call it dead on arrival. And I'm not trying to be callous. I'm not using this, obviously, as him as a human being. I shouldn't even have to say this stuff. Some of y'all be Pillsbury dull. Brodric Martin will not be better this season. I don't understand how it can possibly be a thing when you don't practice, you practice, you don't play. Playing is where you're going to get your experience. And he's just going to magically get better? Is this some type of fairy tale that we're living in? This, for me, has taken me over the top. I was already over the top. I done brought it back. I go over the top. I done brought it back. And you caught me in year 3 of Brad Holmes' regime when I've kept holding out hope that he was going to do the right thing. And the best move by far was Aiden Hutchinson, which was a no-brainer when he falls in your lap. Imagine if we don't take Aiden Hutchinson because the Jacksonville Jaguars do. There were reports that we were going to take Trayvon Walker. Could you imagine our defensive line without Hutchinson? Brodric Martin was a miss. He was a fail. He is a blemish on Brad Holmes' draft track record. And he's a big one. He's a big one. 3 players for a player that played 52 snaps in 2 seasons, was drafted in the top 100. You gave up 2 picks to get him. And he was drafted before Max Crosby, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Josh Sweat. There's no more arguing. Brodric Martin is not any good, and he won't be. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. I sound like PBS, man. I remember when the PBS shows used to go off, and it was like, Reading Rainbow is brought to you by our viewers, and just like you. That's actually where I got it from, 80s baby. Anyway, you guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. You're going to try to dispute this, but you can't. You say that I am emotional. I am. But I base my emotion based off what I see, based off the numbers. And the numbers say that Brodric Martin was a failure. He was a gamble that I'm telling you right now, Brad Holmes cannot afford a gamble like this anymore. The Detroit Lions have expectations of Super Bowl appearances. You can't get there doing stuff like this.